Buying a house before marriage. My mother-in-law not only drained all my family wealth. And this new house also requires filling in the name of your girlfriend's younger brother. Ding. Unlimited selection system activation successful. As long as Lin Xuan makes a choice, he can receive the corresponding reward. Ding. The host makes a choice and rewards 10 times the consumption for cashback once. Ding. The host makes a choice and rewards 80% of the shares of Yihao Group. Ding. The host makes a choice and rewards a super luxurious yacht. Lin Xuan, who had reached the pinnacle of his life, said helplessly. I don't like money, I really don't like money. Main characters. Lin Xuan, Zhou Yuzhu. Keywords of the novel. Shenhao. Start with a reward of 10 times cashback without pop-ups. Shenhao. Start with a reward of 10 times cashback. Download the full text. Shenhao. Start with a reward of 10 times cashback. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. I'm not getting married anymore. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Lin Xuan, we have discussed and agreed that we need to fill in Zifen's name for this house. Upon hearing his mother-in-law Lu Lan's words, Lin Xuan held a pen and floated in the air, looking incredulous. You know, this house is from Zhonghai City. The unit price is 30,000 yuan per square meter. The total price has reached 3.3 million. Is it necessary to write the name of one's brother-in-law for a house worth 3.3 million yuan? Why? Mom. Didn't Lin and I live in this house after we got married? How do we fill in Zhang Zifen's name? Lin Xuan looked at Lu Lan. What's your name, Mom? My daughter hasn't married you yet. When you fill in Zifen's name for this house and my daughter passes through the door, you can call me Mom again. Now, you have to call me Auntie. Lu Lan had her hands on her hips and a proud expression on her face. She specifically inquired about it, and now there are over 30 million single young people in the country. What will my son do if he doesn't take this opportunity to strike more? Zhang Lin, who had been silent all along, spoke at this moment. Lin Xuan, it's not my mother's fault. It's mainly because my younger brother recently got a girlfriend and they asked for a house here, but the housing prices here are so high, So, you want me to buy a house for the two of them to live in? Lin Xuan frowned and said. It's not like that either. Xiaofan and his girlfriend need to talk for at least 2.3 years. During this period, we will still live normally, and we can't afford to buy another set at that time. Zhang Lin explained. Brother-in-law, just write my name, isn't it just a few million? Aren't you a few 100,000 a year? You can buy another set in a few years. Xiaowei is a good girl, beautiful and virtuous, so please understand me. Zhang Xiaofan also spoke up. Buy another set. You buy it with your mouth. You should know how fast house prices have risen these days. In 2 years, it will increase by about 20%. And going to work is not just a newspaper or a cup of tea, sitting all day until work. I am 996 years old and at work, with almost no rest time. Even now when I come to buy a house, I am taking a temporary leave. The most crucial thing is, what does it matter to me for your brother to marry a wife? I might as well marry your brother's girlfriend directly, as there is no middleman to make a profit on the price difference. Isn't it fragrant? Lin Xuan. Have you decided yet? If you don't write Zifen's name, you won't be able to get married. Do you know how many wealthy people outside want to marry my daughter? Not to mention the distance, just Xiao Wang, who was chasing Lin before. His parents run factories and both run Mercedes-Benz and BMW. If Lin hadn't voluntarily said she wanted to marry you, I would have let Lin marry him long ago. Lu Lan had sharp teeth and a sharp mouth, and issued an ultimatum. Lin, your opinion. Lin Xuan looked at Zhang Lin, who was like a rain of pear blossoms, and couldn't bear to ask. After all, it's a girlfriend we've been talking about for 3 years. If there's really no relationship, it's a lie. But what awaits is a cold fact. This time, I'll listen to my mom. Zhang Linlin said coldly. She didn't want to do this before. But after these days of alternating ideological education between Lu Lan and Zhang Xiaofan, they have now become stubborn. Otherwise, just write Zifen's name, and even if you divorce in the future, your family can still get a house. Since at the beginning, Lin Xuan kept saying he loved her, how could he even be reluctant to buy a house? Thinking of this, Zhang Linlin casually said. Lin Xuan, don't you know many big bosses? If you borrow money from them, they will definitely lend it to you. If not, you can ask your parents to borrow a loan. Let my parents borrow a loan. Upon hearing Zhang Linlin's words, Lin Xuan looked incredulous. Yeah, anyway, they're only in their 50s. 3 years later, they'll take out a loan of over 1,000,000 yuan and pay back over 7,000 yuan in a month. It's very easy. Easy. Are you someone who only earns over 3,000 yuan a month, still saying that 7,000 yuan is easy? Lin Xuan's parents were originally farmers in the countryside. In order to raise enough money for Lin Xuan to buy a house, he not only sold all the houses in the countryside, but also borrowed a large amount of money from relatives. Now the second old man can only rent someone else's basement in the countryside to spend his day. As soon as he thought of this, Lin Xuan felt a hint of sourness. After sighing, Lin Xuan turned around and looked at his father. Lol. But looking around, he only glanced at Lin Xuan and nodded slowly. This meaning is self-evident. Lin Xuan, don't look at anyone else, this family is up to me. Lu Lan cut off the railway with nails. Give you 3 minutes, otherwise you can obediently fill in Zhang Zifen's name, or. The words were not finished, but the meaning was already very clear. Lin Xuan, sign it. Once we sign it, we can get married. Zhang Linlin urged on the side. Yeah, you two can be together after signing. Lu Lan was also stirring up trouble on the side, but her eyes were somewhat evasive. Ding, detected host with selection difficulties. Unlimited selection system activation successful. Option 1. Agree to sign Zhang Xiaofan's name, reward. 1 good person card, Zhang Linlin's favorability plus 30, option 2. Refuse to sign Zhang Xiaofan's name, reward. 100,000 yuan. Option 3. Not only refuse to sign, but also angrily scold Lu Lan, reward. 10 times the amount spent will be cashed back once. Just as Lin Xuan was hesitating, a mechanical prompt suddenly sounded in his mind. System. Lin Xuan was momentarily taken aback. Immediately followed was a burst of ecstasy. For young people nowadays, they are familiar with the system. Hurry up and sign it. Don't fuss like a girl. Lin Xuan still hasn't signed, Lu Lan said impatiently. Pop. Lin Xuan slammed his pen onto the table and shouted loudly. I'm not getting married anymore. Chapter 2. Fill in my parents' names for the house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What are you saying? I'll give you another chance. If you sign on this, I'll just ignore it. Lu Lan pointed to the purchase contract and angrily cursed. If you're deaf, I'll tell you again. I won't get married anymore. Lin Xuan stood up and looked down at Lu Lan, saying word by word. You. Lu Lan was just about to say something, but seeing Lin Xuan's height of 1.85 meters, she still swallowed and didn't say anything. After hesitating for a moment, Lu Lan smiled and said to Lin Xuan. Lin Xuan, otherwise, let's take a step back. We can sign a protection agreement for you. Xiaofan only uses this house for 20 years, and in 20 years, he will return it to you. What do you think? Mom. Upon hearing these words, Zhang Xiaofan quickly screamed. He had originally fantasized about finding a house worth over 1,000,000 yuan for nothing, getting married again, and living there for a lifetime. It wouldn't be a pleasant experience. But now why has it become 20 years again? However, Lu Lan gave her a glare and was too scared to speak. 20 years. Why don't you just say you'll stay for half your life? Ha! Lin Xuan sneered and looked at Lu Lan's faint words. I don't think you understand me yet. I won't get married today. What do you mean? No more. Do you know Lin, how many bosses outside want to marry her? If you had the opportunity like today, it would be the smoke from your ancestral tomb. In a fit of anger, Lu Lan pointed at Lin Xuan's nose and cursed angrily. Pop! Lin Xuan slapped her hand away, her eyes icy cold. Don't point your dog paws at me. I just won't marry anymore. The woman I've been playing with for 3 years, if you want her to marry a wealthy person, then go ahead. Ha ha ha. And your useless son, who knows how to play games every day at home and doesn't even have a job, still wants me to buy him a house and eat shit. Lin Xuan spat fiercely and tore the contract in front of him into pieces. Why do you say who is trash? I'll beat you to death. Zhang Xiaofan stood up angrily and rushed towards Lin Xuan. Bang! However, Lin Xuan was already prepared and kicked Zhang Xiaofan out with his legs raised. What I'm talking about is you. A jobless wanderer, I've given you at least tens of thousands of pocket money over the years. You useless waste, are you here to compete with a hammer? Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing option 3, with a reward of 10 times cashback. Upon hearing the system prompt, Lin Xuan smiled. Lin Xuan, you're crazy. Zhang Linlin supported Zhang Xiaofan and angrily said. That's right. I'm crazy. I was driven crazy by your vampire family. Hee hee. You want this house, right? I just won't buy it for you. Lin Xuan said to the frightened salesperson beside him. Give me another contract, I want to buy a house. Ah. Buy. Buy a house. After the salesperson regained his senses, he quickly took out a new contract from the office. In fact, several salespeople around also feel that this family has gone too far. If the man buys the house in full, why should the name be written as belonging to the woman's family? If they regret their marriage, wouldn't it be a waste of money and resources? Buy. Of course I have to buy. Lin Xuan slapped his bank card on the table. 3.3 million, full payment. Upon hearing that Lin Xuan was actually willing to buy a house, Lu Lan thought Lin Xuan had changed his mind and quickly exclaimed in a sharp voice. Lin Xuan, just write Yuan Lin in this name. Hee hee. Have you not given up yet? You want to covet half of my house without paying a penny. I'll write your name. Whose name do I want to write? It's none of your business, old man. Lin Xuan slammed the table and said angrily. You. Upon hearing this, Lu Lan's face turned ugly. After a while, she suddenly covered her chest and fell to the ground with a thud. Mom! Lu Lan! Hurry up! Shout for a car! Zhang Linlin saw that Lu Lan had fainted from anger and quickly ran outside to stop a taxi. Lin Xuan! Look at what you've done! Before getting on the car, Zhang Linlin glared at him and took the car to leave. This family is really not something. That's right, the young man's family conditions are also not good, and he has to give the house to his younger brother. He's really a brother-supporting demon. To put it simply, this family is selling their daughters. After seeing Zhang Linlin and her family leave, the voices of people around gradually became louder. Sir! Do you still want to buy this house? The salesperson walked over earlier, holding Lin Xuan's bank card in his hand, and asked. In fact, even if Lin Xuan took his bank card now, no one present would laugh at him. After all, in the situation just now, even a man would do this. I've been looking at the house for several weeks now, so I definitely want to buy it, but the name should be written under my parents' names. After thinking for a moment, Lin Xuan said seriously. Okay. A middle-aged man in a suit slowly walked over. Little brother, just because you are a filial son, I will make friends with you as a friend. Are you? Lin Xuan looked at the man and asked in confusion. If you are interested, you can come to our company to work. Speaking, Wang Tingkong handed over a business card. Zhonghai Automobile City, Wang Tingkong. Lin Xuan looked at the name on the business card and murmured. Upon hearing Lin Xuan's murmurs, the nearby customers exclaimed excitedly. This person is actually the CEO of Zhonghai Automobile City. Wang Tingkong, the countless sports car clubs under his command, Mr. Wang. It seems that this kid is lucky enough to gain his appreciation and will surely rise to prominence in the future. After a moment, the salesperson walked over with the stamped contract. Mr. Lin, please enter your password. The salesperson took out the card reader and said. With the successful input of the 6-digit password. The system prompt sounds again. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully consuming once, triggering a 10-fold cashback card. This consumption of 3 million, cashback of 30 million. Chapter 3 is you. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Drop. Your bank card ending in 2333 completed a transfer transaction at 13.49, and the current balance 10. 100. 1000. 10,000 millions. 30 million. Lin Xuan counted it countless times, but after repeatedly confirming it was 30 million, he almost jumped up with excitement. In the last second, I was still referred to as a poor loser by others. In the next second, he became a millionaire. This feeling is simply great. It's so great. After confirming the success of the transaction, Lin Xuan and Wang Tingkong bid farewell and walked out of the sales hall alone. After thinking for a while, he decided to first talk to his parents and then transfer the money to the elderly couple. As for the house, he will prepare it for a while before we can discuss it. After all, paying back the money and buying a house is really inexplicable. After making a decision, Lin Xuan took out his phone and dialed his mother Lu Hongxue. Xiao Xian, have you bought the house yet? Mom, let me tell you, I'm not getting married anymore. What? You're not getting married anymore? After listening, Mom paused at Lin Xuan and said. You're a big person now, why are you always acting like a child? Mom. Listen to me, you really can't blame me for this today. So tell me, what exactly is the situation? Hi, that's a long story. Then you can make a long story short. This thing is like this. Subsequently, Lin Xuan completely explained the whole story of today to his mother. This woman's house is not something either. If you don't get married, then don't get married. After a while, Mom will arrange another one for you. Mom, this is not urgent. By the way, I have refunded all the 3 million you and Dad gave me. You should buy another house. Living in the basement is not good for your rheumatism. That's it, I'll just hang up if I have something else to do here. As soon as he heard about his mother and wanted to get the money back, Lin Xuan quickly found an excuse to hang up the phone. Upon hearing this tone, he knew that his mother must be reluctant to buy a house. After a while, let's just bring the two of them to the city. Anyway, currently I not only have a house in my hands, but also tens of millions of funds, so buying another house is not a big deal. Lin Xuan stood on the roadside, feeling very excited when he thought of the millions of deposits lying in his bank card. You know, he used to have tens of thousands of yuan in savings, but now he suddenly has 30 million yuan, which feels like a dream. Since I have money now, I naturally don't need to save anymore. Let's buy myself a set of clothes first. Lin Xuan glanced at the cheap street vendors on his body and murmured. He didn't have any money to buy clothes for himself before in order to get married and play games for Zhang Xiaofan. Not to mention anything else, I have been wearing this outfit for 3 or 4 years now, and the patterns on the soles of the shoes are almost invisible. However, now that he has rid himself of that family of vampires and has so much money in his account, he naturally needs to dress up well. At this point, Lin Xuan stopped a taxi and arrived at the largest shopping mall in Zhonghai City. Zhonghai Century City. Established 20 years ago, Zhonghai Century City is the largest shopping mall in Zhonghai and even the entire southeastern region. Compared to the so-called Yida Plaza, there are more and more branded products here. Meanwhile, this is a gathering place for internet celebrities. It's still possible to shoot 3 or 4 bricks, not to mention 7 or 8 bricks. Every day, there are many internet celebrities taking photos at the entrance of various famous brand stores. Sometimes, even in order to occupy this venue, there may be scenes of people fighting. After getting off the car, Lin Xuan followed the signs and arrived at the 5th floor, which was a dedicated clothing area. The clothing here was dazzling, with various brands standing tall. Lin Xuan was a bit dizzy to see. In addition to everyday items like Adidas and Nike, there are even many high-end luxury items like Versace, Armani, Givenchy, and so on. Lin Xuan walked among major brands, like Lu Lao Lao entering the Grandview Garden, looking around without knowing what to buy. Moreover, the salespersons of this brand are not like other clothing salespeople who sell clothes outside. Instead, it is very quiet here and there is no shouting. Because they know that even if they call, it's in vain if you can't afford it. After looking for half an hour, Lin Xuan decided to come to the Gucci store to take a look. The main reason is that the big boss of our company is wearing this brand of suit. Since he has chosen this one, there must be no mistake in choosing it himself. Sir, this suit is our latest model from Gucci, originally priced at 380,000 yuan. If you want it, I can give it to you for 350,000 yuan. No, it's too expensive. I'll go see other places instead. After speaking, the middle-aged man quickly ran out of the store. He just wanted to see how expensive this legendary luxury brand is, but he didn't expect an ordinary suit to cost 350,000 yuan. Get out of here. Get out of here. Watching the man run away, Zhou Yuzhu's face was filled with disappointment. It's okay, Yuzhu. You probably didn't know when you first arrived, but in fact, Gucci's monthly trading volume is in double digits, which is not bad. An old employee on the side smiled and comforted. Moreover, although Zhonghai City is a first-tier city, its per capita income is just like that, and there are very few truly affordable options. Okay. Zhou Yuzhu sighed. She had thought that coming to the first-tier city of Zhonghai would enable her to achieve great success, but now it seems that she is still too naive. Just as she was about to go back, she heard the sound of the doorstep sound. Welcome. Although she is not sure who came in, being a salesperson requires perseverance. After cheering himself up, Zhou Yuzhu welcomed him again with a smile on his face. But when she saw Lin Xuan, she was completely stunned. At the same time, Lin Xuan was also stunned. At the next moment, the two spoke in unison. Is it you? Do you believe in fate? In Chapter 4. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Looking at the appearance of Zhou Yuzhu in front of him, Lin Xuan was stunned. Because she's not someone else, it's his ex-girlfriend. Yuzhu, I didn't expect you to come to Zhonghai too. Lin Xuan looked at Zhou Yuzhu and said with a smile. I haven't seen you for 2 years, but Zhou Yuzhu is still so charming. At this moment, her long hair was curled up at the back, exuding an outstanding temperament. Her face was adorned with light makeup, especially the smile at the corner of her mouth, which still gave people a feeling of being bathed in spring breeze. Yes. Yes. Zhou Yuzhu didn't expect that the person who came in would actually be Lin Xuan. Are you here to find me? Zhou Yuzhu knows Lin Xuan's skills. Although his salary is not low, he wouldn't come to such a luxury goods store to buy clothes. Her first reaction at this moment was naturally, thinking that Lin Xuan knew he was here to find her. However, she was also unsure, so she could only ask cautiously. Actually, do you believe in fate? Lin Xuan smiled awkwardly. If it were left yesterday, he would definitely say no directly. But he just broke up with Zhang Linlin and told his ex-girlfriend that it's impossible to have no thoughts at all. After all, when they were at school, one was the school flower and the other was the school grass, they were both talented and beautiful. After graduation, Lin Xuan wanted to come to Zhonghai City for development, but Zhou Yuzhu only wanted to stay in his hometown. The two had no choice but to break up. And the breakup between the two did not have the same twists and turns as in the novel, it belonged to the kind of peaceful breakup. The two didn't even delete their friends. So much so that after the breakup, the two occasionally chatted and maintained a normal friendship. Fate. Pushi Zhou Yuzhu couldn't help but laugh. Lin Xuan, you wouldn't think we were just children, would you? You should leave this kind of love story to your family. It's useless to me, Zhou Yuzhu mischievously spat out her tongue and proudly said, but there was still an imperceptible longing in the depths of her eyes. She knew about Zhang Linlin's existence, so she also cut off her longing for Lin Xuan. However, there was still longing for Lin Xuan, otherwise she wouldn't have traveled thousands of miles to work in Zhonghai City. Although it may seem like they came to Zhonghai City to make big money on the surface, who would know their true thoughts? I broke up. Lin Xuan looked at Zhou Yuzhu and said with a bitter smile. Aren't you already in the stage of discussing marriage? How could you break up? Zhou Yuzhu blinked in disbelief and said in surprise. Lin Xuan smiled and did not reveal the specific details. After all, this kind of thing belongs to a family scandal, so there is no need to spread it out. Seeing a hint of sadness in Lin Xuan's eyes, Zhou Yuzhu probably guessed that Lin Xuan's words were not false, so he said. Okay, since you're not willing to say it, let's forget it, but I'm currently at work, you go back first. Let's have dinner together tonight. Anyway, you also broke up, how about it? Actually, Before Lin Xuan could open his mouth, he saw a woman who was also a salesperson walking nearby, but this woman had a sales manager's sign on her chest. Welcome to Gucci. May I help you? The female manager walked over and said with a smile. She also roughly guessed the reason from their conversation just now. To put it simply, it's a resurgence of old love, but it's a private matter between the two of you. At least we have to wait until we finish work. It's working time now. Moreover, Lin Xuan's whole body adds up to only 200 yuan, and the most expensive one is his phone, which is over 1,000 meters. If it weren't for knowing that Zhou Yuzhu is here, he probably wouldn't have the courage to even enter this store. Manager Lu, I'm sorry. Zhou Yuzhu, who was standing by, saw Manager Lu coming and apologized in shock. May I ask, do you have any clothes that suit me? Lin Xuan's first visit to the Gucci store naturally made him unclear about the name inside. Now that the manager has come over, it would be convenient to ask her directly. Upon hearing this, Manager Lu, although somewhat headstrong, still insisted on speaking. Sir, your figure and size are very suitable for most of the clothing in our store. As a sales manager of a luxury brand, it is natural not to drive out customers, even if they appear to have nothing at all. This is a rule. However, after speaking, she still murmured in her heart. But the premise is that you have money to buy it. Since that's the case, then. Lin Xuan stopped here, looked around, and nodded in satisfaction. Manager Lu, upon hearing this, I roughly guessed what Lin Xuan was going to say next. Can you just try on the clothes? But this is impossible. The prerequisite for trying on clothes is to have money to buy them. You don't have the money to buy them at first glance, and you still want to try on clothes. How could that be possible? When Lin Xuan was considering what excuse to use to refuse, he pointed to a few of the clothes and his voice sounded faint. That's all for these, help me take one each. Chapter 5. The Walking God of Wealth. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Hiss. Upon hearing this, everyone around couldn't help but take a cold breath. The items pointed out by Lin Xuan are quite valuable, and together they may cost millions. Upon hearing these words, Zhou Yuzhu stood still in place. In his heart, he was surprised and said, I haven't seen him in these years. He can't be crazy, can he? Even a few salespeople couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh when they heard Lin Xuan's words. They have also spent a lot of time here, and it is the first time they have seen someone come here to buy clothes like this. Most people come to buy clothes after trying them on and then deciding to buy 1.2 pieces. Who would come up and casually point out 5.6 items to buy together? Is this a wholesale market or a street stall grocery store? Sir, you're not joking, are you? This is a Gucci specialty store, and a piece of clothing costs hundreds of thousands. The ones you've chosen are probably worth millions. Manager Lu suppressed a smile and said. I know it's only a few million, take it to swipe your card, I'm in a hurry. Speaking, Lin Xuan placed an ordinary bank card in front of Manager Lu and smiled at her. Is this really playing? You. Please wait a moment. Manager Lu quickly took the bank card and ran back to the back end. After a moment, she returned with a very excited expression on her face. To be on the safe side, she went to the backstage to flash it, but this flash startled her. There are 30 million in this card. And it is still stored in cash. You should know that even in Zhonghai City, there are very few with 30 million yuan in cash. This young man must be a wealthy second generation. As for why he dresses so plainly, it must be because he wants to keep a low profile. It must be like this. In just a few seconds, Lin Xuan's image in Manager Lu's mind has transformed from a poor loser to a low-key wealthy second generation. Manager Lu returned to Lin Xuan and confirmed several times before looking at Zhou Yuzhu standing on the side, who had already been stunned. Yuzhu, what are you still doing here? Hurry up and help Mr. Lin pack his clothes. What? Pack clothes? Is his card really rich? After calculation, Lin Xuan bought a total of 5 clothes, totaling 1.23650 million yuan. After wiping out the odds, the total is 1.23 million. Pay and deliver. Manager Lu and the other salespeople beside him looked at Lin Xuan, swiping his card so casually that their eyes were straight. Especially the card swiping action, it was simply stunning. They even unconsciously squeezed their legs. By the way, this commission should be counted towards Yuzhu, right? Lin Xuan picked up his clothes and looked at Manager Lu, saying. No problem. Of course not. By the way, this is our Gucci store's diamond membership. Please keep it safe. Manager Lu handed over a dazzling membership card and said with a smile. Lin Xuan took the card and casually placed it in his pocket, looking at Zhou Yuzhu. I haven't changed my phone number, please call me after work, he said. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuzhu's pretty face turned slightly red and he said, Okay, then I'll leave first and not disturb you at work. After finishing speaking, Lin Xuan left the Gucci store carrying a large and small bag. As soon as Lin Xuan left, Zhou Yuzhu was surrounded by everyone at the back. Yuzhu, well, you secretly talked about such a handsome and rich boyfriend. Do you still treat us as sisters? Yeah, by the way, does your boyfriend have a younger brother? Or if he can't, his father and I can do it. Seeing his looks, his father must be a standard uncle. One of the female saleswomen spoke with a playful smile on her face. What are you thinking? I won't tell you anymore. Zhou Yuzhu originally wanted to explain that they had already broken up, but later on, he thought that if he said it himself, they would definitely take advantage of the situation and still didn't say it. Not to mention, it's okay. You earned at least tens of thousands of yuan from this order today, and at least you should treat us to a meal. Okay, but not tonight. Zhou Yuzhu shrugged helplessly. We know. After everyone finished speaking, they showed an expression that you understood. As the saying goes, poor play with cars and rich play with watches. Now that Lin Xuan is worth millions, he naturally wants to buy a watch. After leaving the Gucci store, Lin Xuan went directly to the Jiangshi Dandun watch store. Although the salesperson saw that Lin Xuan was dressed in ordinary clothes, when he saw the brand new bag from the Gucci store, he knew he must have just come out. At that time, he warmly welcomed him up. However, even without Gucci's bag, relying solely on Lin Xuan's appearance, she would still go up enthusiastically. After all, no one is unwilling to chat with handsome guys more. Lin Xuan casually glanced at it, but in just 2 minutes, he bought a watch from the cross-straight series. A watch worth 800,000 yuan was confirmed in just 2 minutes. This action made the female salesperson almost speechless with joy. She has never seen a wealthy owner before, but it is still the first time she has met someone so generous. Leaving the watch shop, Lin Xuan looked at something worth about 2 million yuan and murmured. Shopping is really tiring. Despite this, his eyes still wandered around the other specialty stores around him, as if he was still unsatisfied. Hello, would you like to come and take a look at our glasses store? Sir, I think you still need a good pair of leather shoes. Sir. At this moment, passers-by almost froze. Is this still Zhonghai Century City? It's almost like the wholesale market outside. Because at this time, major specialty stores are all soliciting customers at the entrance, there is no way anyone can let Lin Xuan throw millions here. Lin Xuan now is like a walking god of wealth to them. When Lin Xuan was the god of wealth. Zhonghai Second People's Hospital, inpatient department. Lin, take a look at the boyfriend you're looking for. He dares to do this before he gets married. If he gets married, wouldn't he be going to heaven? Lu Lan was wearing a hospital gown and lying on the hospital bed, hanging salt water. But it still had a proud and imposing expression. Lu Lan, just say a few words less. From the beginning, I said this method is not feasible. Looking at Lu Lan, she complained. Look, are you still a man? That kid scolded my wife, and when he hit Ziffin, you didn't even dare to fart. If you have the ability, would I still be like this? You're talking about me now. Isn't it all for our family's sake? Zhang Wang saw Lu Lan start cursing again and quickly walked out with his head down. Ha! He is indeed a waste. Mom! Do you want me to find someone to kill that kid? Zhang Xiaofan suggested. Kill him. Kill him. Who will buy you a house? Zhang Ziffin opened his mouth and said, this. Lu Lan turned her eyes to look at Zhang Linlin. By the way, Linlin, wasn't this man introduced to you by your friend? I heard that your friend is still the leader of this kid. You asked your friend to put pressure on us to at least cover our mental and hospitalization expenses this time. Yeah, and the kick that kicked me, at least pay tens of thousands of dollars. Zhang Ziffin also interjected beside him. How about tens of thousands of yuan? At least tens of thousands. No more than 200,000. That's right, 200,000 yuan. That kick was really fierce, and I still feel chest pain. Zhang Ziffin lay on the hospital bed, pretending to mourn. Watching her younger brother lying on the hospital bed with a mournful expression, Zhang Linlin's heart sank. Well, I'll call my friend right away. Chapter 6. Money Capacity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Brother Xiong. As soon as the phone was connected, Zhang Linlin started crying to her friend Xiong Gu. Linlin, what's wrong with you? Upon hearing Zhang Linlin's crying, brother Xiong quickly chased after him. Subsequently, Zhang Linlin explained the whole story in its entirety, but added a bit of embellishment in the middle. Although he added some ingredients, as Xiong Gu, who has been working hard in society for over a decade, he can still hear the general truth. After all, this matter is that Lu Lan is too greedy, otherwise the two would have married in harmony long ago. In fact, he and Zhang Linlin are just ordinary friends, and Lin Xuan has done a good job under his own command. After weighing the pros and cons, brother Xiong said somewhat apologetically. Linlin, don't cry yet. You know, although I'm the leader of that kid, I'm just a little leader, so. But before Xiong finished speaking, Zhang Linlin hinted over the phone. As long as brother Xiong recovers the medical expenses this time, accompany him to the hotel to give him a good thank you. Upon hearing these words, brother Xiong's whole body came to his senses. Xiong Gu got to know Zhang Linlin from his wife's side, and in fact, he has long coveted Zhang Linlin, a young and beautiful girl. However, due to the roaring of the lion from the east of his own family, he only dares to observe Zhang Linlin from a distance. However, since he has received her explicit consent now, is this still valid? So this matter is up to me. As soon as I start working tomorrow, I will talk to that kid. Don't worry, he will definitely pay directly. I don't believe it anymore. There is no royal law in this world. After I receive the money, I will send you the address of the hotel. You can come alone and remember to dress up nicely. While Xiong Gu was making a promise, Lin Xuan became a star figure in Zhonghai Century City. Even the chief and deputy managers of Zhonghai Century City ran out to personally carry their luggage. Even if Lin Xuan didn't want to, the two of them were still vying to carry it. There's no way, but Lin Xuan spent nearly 5 million yuan here within an hour. I have bought almost all kinds of famous brand products. The passing female customers and shop assistants had their eyes shining one by one. Wow, this little brother looks good, and he's also very wealthy. If only he could become his girlfriend. Yeah, if I had become his girlfriend, I wouldn't have worked as a salesperson here. Young, handsome, and rich, this is simply the Prince Charming in fairy tales. If I could be his girlfriend, I would be willing to do anything. Feeling the gaze around him, Lin Xuan's heart had already become indifferent. Even a few people came up to ask for their phone numbers, but they were all rejected by Lin Xuan. It's not that Lin Xuan doesn't like women who worship gold, but he actually quite likes women who worship gold. A gold digger is so simple. Just give her money and it's done. Anyway, if she has a system now, she will still be afraid of not having money. But those few people are really average in appearance, not as good as Zhang Linlin, let alone Zhou Yuzhu. An hour later, the two supervisors following behind Lin Xuan were unable to move, with beads of sweat on their foreheads. However, their faces did not show any dissatisfaction or complaint, but rather were very happy. In their words, being able to run errands for a god like Lin Xuan is a blessing they have earned from their previous life. Because in fact, their supervisors also have performance requirements, although it is not closely related to salary. But the greater the profits of Zhonghai Century City, the more comfortable their seats will be. Mr. Lin, where is your car? I'll find someone to help you drive over. Yeah, we still have some distance from the parking lot here. Upon hearing their words, Lin Xuan smiled faintly. I didn't drive here today. Can you give me your things? I'll take a taxi and leave. Take a taxi. Spending over 5 million yuan on Shenhao in Zhonghai Century City, let them take a taxi. I'm afraid they took a taxi today, but the two of them will have to pack up and leave tomorrow. Mr. Lin, you don't need to take a taxi, we have a car. Yes, we have a dedicated car in Zhonghai Century City to pick up and drop off distinguished guests. After speaking, the supervisor handed the things in his hand to the deputy supervisor on the side and personally ran out. However, after a while, a Rolls-Royce drove over. Mr. Lin, hurry up and get in the car. I'll take you back. Yes, yes, please be careful and pay attention to your head. These two supervisors are really passionate. Almost lifted Lin Xuan into the car. Lin Xuan could only reluctantly spread his hand over this. This should be the legendary money ability. Chapter 7. Aston Martin 5 Yuan Gold Coupon. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. In the car, the supervisor sat in the passenger seat and respectfully asked. Mr. Lin, where are you going next? First, go to Shenhao community and let go of the things. Lin Xuan smiled and said. Shenhao community. Upon hearing this, the two supervisors looked at each other. It is obvious that they have not heard of this community. However, since Lin Xuan spoke up, they still found this community on the map, which is a suburb of Zhonghai City. Half an hour later, this luxurious Rolls-Royce parked at the entrance of a very old residential area. The sudden appearance of such a luxurious car in such a place immediately caught the attention of many people. But they were all watching from a distance, and no one dared to step forward. At this moment, the chief and deputy supervisors in the car were completely dumbfounded. This is this kind of God who throws millions living in such a place. Although they had countless doubts in their hearts, they still smiled and said to Lin Xuan. Mr. Lin, here we are. Where do you live and we can help you carry it up? Upon hearing this, Lin Xuan was about to speak when he heard the sound of the system ringing. Ding, unlimited selection system startup in progress. Option 1. Agree to the goodwill of both parties, reward. 100 golden leaves. Option 2. Refuse the goodwill of both parties, reward. None. Upon hearing these two options, Lin Xuan felt that the system was insulting his intelligence. Even if you close your eyes, you will still choose option A. Since that's the case, I'll trouble you all. Lin Xuan smiled and said. Ding. Congratulations to the host for choosing option A and rewarding 100 golden leaves, which have been distributed to the host's room. No trouble, no trouble. It's our honor to work for Mr. Lin. After speaking, the two of them walked out of the car carrying several large boxes of things. Everyone who watched this scene was amazed. Is this person some big shot? It looks like it is, but the dressing feels quite simple. You don't understand that, do you? Some wealthy people like to go back to simplicity and dress simply. Forget it, don't talk about it, it's not good to be heard by others. The reason why everyone didn't recognize Lin Xuan was entirely because he had just arrived here not long ago. And it's strange to recognize 996 every day. Following the old staircase, the three of them arrived at a door covered in small advertisements. This is the place where Lin Xuan used to live, but because he wants to get married and buy a house, he can only live here. Moreover, this place is far from the company, so he still has to wake up at 7 a.m. every day and arrive home at 12 p.m. I worked so hard just to give Zhang Linlin the best life, but I didn't expect her whole family to be vampires and even want to covet my house. It's just a dream. Lin Xuan took out the key and opened the door, looking at the simple decorations in the room. The supervisor and the other person looked at each other. I don't think so. Do gods and nobles live in such places? Even experiencing life doesn't have this kind of experience. Thinking of this, they suddenly felt that Lin Xuan was borrowing money to pretend to be coerced. Seeing that there was no movement between the two, Lin Xuan exclaimed in surprise. What's wrong with you? Come in, you don't need to change your shoes. Upon hearing this, the two of them chuckled twice and waved their hands to refuse. Well, Mr. Lin, we suddenly remembered that there was something else to do, so we won't go in. We'll leave the things here for you. Yes, we have another meeting to attend later. Upon hearing their words, Lin Xuan was not very surprised. Instead, he turned around and casually picked up 2 cigarettes from a nearby box, handing them over. Since that's the case, then I won't keep you. These 2 cigarettes will be considered as a thank you. The 2 were just about to refuse, but when they saw the name on the cigarette, their eyes suddenly widened. Gold. Golden leaf. A golden leaf worth 10,000 yuan. Just casually taking out 2. Thinking of this, the 2 of them coincidentally looked at the place where Lin Xuan was smoking. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it, it startles you at first glance. Good guy, that box is full of these cigarettes. At least dozens of them. That's just hundreds of thousands. And the most crucial thing is that this type of cigarette is not easy to buy even if you have money, there must be someone. To have so many at once, you need to know such a big person. Thinking of this, the 2 of them immediately regretted it immensely. They had known earlier that they had not said anything important. Now, they have no reason to stay even if they want to. So, the 2 of them could only take 1 golden leaf each and left helplessly. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have said something was wrong. In the end, it's still our lack of vision. If we really live in such a place, how could we possibly borrow money and borrow millions? After sighing for a while, I looked at the cigarette in my hand again. I can only drive away helplessly. After the 2 of them left, Lin Xuan changed into a suit and put on a Jiangshi watch. Suddenly, the whole person's temperament changed from an ordinary programmer to a successful person. As the saying goes, it's true that people rely on their clothes and horses rely on their saddles. After looking around for a while, Lin Xuan went downstairs and took a taxi to the largest automobile city in Zhonghai City. I originally wanted to call Wang Tingkong, but after thinking about it, I bought a car myself and didn't call him because there was nothing else to do. After arriving at the auto city, Lin Xuan directly bypassed brands within 1 million. It has to be said that after exceeding 1 million, even the 4S stores are not ordinary compared to the previous ones. After looking around, Lin Xuan decided to come to the Aston Martin 4S store. As soon as I entered the door, I saw a female shop assistant wearing a professional uniform walking up. "Hello, may I help you?" "Come and buy a car, anything under 3 million yuan is fine." Lin Xuan thought for a moment and said, "I currently have over 20 million yuan on hand, so buying a car worth 3 million yuan is still quite easy." And when the female clerk Fang Qian heard Lin Xuan's words, her smile became even stronger, and her attitude was even better. She couldn't say it any better. "Okay, sir, please follow me." She has also been in class here for several years. Many people come here every day to see cars. But most of them come here to take a look or come in groups to take photos. There are not many people who really want to buy a car. However, it is indeed true that although Zhonghai City may not be big or small, there are very few people who can truly afford Aston Martin. Although Lin Xuan did not say that he must buy today, cultivating potential customers is also good. This is the Aston Martin D1311 in our store, which is currently the best-selling model. It has a stylish and youthful appearance and a 5.2T twin-turbocharged V12 engine, with a maximum output power of 600 horsepower. The current starting price is 2.2 million yuan, and the highest configuration is 2.988 million yuan. Fang Qian brought a configuration table and introduced it with a smile. At the same time, while speaking, he was also observing Lin Xuan. Especially when she saw the Jiangshi Danton on Lin Xuan's wrist, her whole body immediately became energized. He even teased Lin Xuan from time to time. However, in Lin Xuan's eyes, all of these seemed insignificant. He's not a little boy who doesn't know what's going on after being teased. At this moment, his gaze was fixed on the Aston Martin D1311 not far away. "Stop talking, can you get the insurance and license plate ready today? This is the only car that can be done." Upon hearing this, Fang Qian nodded repeatedly and said, "Yes. If you make the payment, we will immediately send someone to accompany you to apply for the license plate." For this level of 4S store, the process of obtaining a license plate is still very simple. Okay, since that's the case, then let's take this one. After speaking, Lin Xuan took out a card and placed it in front of Feng Qian. Feng Qian was momentarily taken aback. I thought this was just here to see the car, but I didn't realize it was really here to buy a car. And it's so bold to take action. Not even a test drive. However, she quickly regained her senses and quickly took it, saying with a smile on her face. Sir, please take a seat first, and I will go and handle it for you right away. Sorry, could you wait a moment? Before Feng Qian could walk far, she heard Lin Xuan's voice coming from behind. At the same time, she also felt a tightness in her heart. Did she back out? However, before she could react, she saw Lin Xuan take out a voucher from his pocket and say, Well, I have an Aston Martin $5 voucher here, can you use it? Chapter 8. Seating sisters and getting into a car. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Lin, here are the car keys and other related procedures, and I have already prepared them for you. In just half an hour, Feng Qian walked over with a large stack of information in her hand. It has to be said that the efficiency of Aston Martin is fast. If it is placed in a regular 4S store, it can hardly be improved in 3 or 4 days. Good Lin Xuan took the materials and keys, nodded, and prepared to leave. Seeing that Lin Xuan was about to leave, Feng Qian's heart suddenly became anxious. I have been working at Aston Martin for so many years, and to be honest, it is the first time I have seen such a wealthy and handsome young man. This is a genuine and handsome man, how can we not take the initiative? Thinking of this, Feng Qian quickly spoke up. That, Mr. Lin. What's up? Upon hearing this, Lin Xuan turned around and looked at Feng Qian, who was running over in confusion. At this moment, Feng Qian's face turned red, as if she had been drunk, and she handed over a business card with both hands. This is my business card. If you have any questions in the future, feel free to ask me. Lin Xiangang reached out to take the business card. I saw Feng Qian extend a finger and gently draw a circle in Lin Xian's palm. Seeing this, Lin Xian's lips only smiled slightly. I didn't expect to be different after getting rich. Before, I was basically an insulator for beautiful women, but now I have become a magnet for girls after getting rich. Sure enough, having money is remarkable. However, he likes a one-handed car, and for a multi-handed woman like Feng Qian, he is not at all interested. After leaving the 4S store, I threw the business card into the nearby trash can. Just as I was about to leave by car, I saw Zhou Yuzhu sending me a message. Zhou Yuzhu. Lin Xuan, today the manager asked me to leave work early. I will go home and change into clothes first. Lin Xuan. Okay, where do you live? I'll drive to pick you up. Zhou Yuzhu. Okay, my family lives in Yuan community. Lin Xuan. Okay. Although it was almost 5 p.m. now, Lin Xuan didn't feel too congested. Perhaps the root cause is that he has the ability to make money. Because he had already noticed that there weren't many cars daring to follow him nearby, afraid of accidentally colliding with them. In just 20 minutes, Lin Xuan arrived at the Dating Garden community, which was an old community with no roads at all. There are even people selling vegetables and some snacks on both sides, as if it were a temporary night market. Seeing this, Lin Xuan could only park his car at the intersection and took out his phone to call Zhou Yuzhu. Are you coming out? I can't get in now. This place is really congested. I'm right outside the alley entrance of Yuan community. You should be able to see it when you come out. Okay, I'm already going out now and I'll be out in a few more minutes. After speaking, Zhou Yuzhu stepped on his high heels and opened the door, walking out. Actually, she could have gone to dinner with Lin Xuan right after work. But after all, the two are in a former romantic relationship, and since we haven't seen each other for so long, we naturally need to dress up well. The face is painted with light makeup, and eye shadow is added to the eyes. The light lipstick is dotted on the red lips, showing a unique charm. Zhou Yuzhu's appearance is already extremely sweet, belonging to the type that is very attractive. Otherwise, it would be impossible to become a salesperson in a Gucci store. You should know those high-end storefronts, but they place great emphasis on appearance, even placing it above education. After all, the first thing their customers see is appearance, not your education. Her exquisite jade-like face is complemented by perfectly proportioned facial features. With a height of 1.68 meters and a small high heel, it perfectly complements her figure. From a distance, you can tell it's a beautiful woman. Wearing a blue strapless lace long dress with fragrant shoulders exposed, she looks extremely charming. Black cascading long hair draped over fragrant shoulders, accompanied by gusts of breeze, like a fairy descending into the world. On her fair and jade-like shoulders hangs a very beautiful little bag, as calm as a goddess. Wherever she passes by, not to mention a 100% return rate, there is at least an 80% return rate. At this moment, he was briskly walking towards the alley entrance. Although he didn't know what car Lin Xuan was driving to pick her up, judging from his ability to buy such expensive clothes all at once, the car shouldn't be very cheap. Meanwhile, a Mercedes-Benz E-Series is parked at the entrance of the alley. There is a young man sitting in the car, who is currently looking around here. He is a local and knows that most of the people living in this community are people who come to work in Zhonghai City. And most of the people who rent this community don't have much money. If you could meet some good-looking girls, with your own car worth over 500,000 yuan and decent looks, you would definitely be foolproof. In fact, he has already tried many times in other communities, and basically he is very confident. At this moment, he saw Zhou Yuzhu walking out of the alley, and his eyes immediately became straight. Due to the beginning of summer at this time, and in order to prevent Lin Xuan from waiting, Zhou Yuzhu walked a bit faster. Therefore, a fine sweat had already appeared on her forehead at this moment, and the strands of hair in front of her forehead tightly adhered to it, giving people a feeling of some unique beauty. Oh my goodness, there's such a beautiful girl living here. Why haven't I met her before? The young man swallowed his saliva and tidied up his hairstyle in the rearview mirror, then slowly parked his Mercedes-Benz in front of Zhou Yuzhu. Hello, beautiful woman. Do you know how to get to this place? The young man opened the car window and said with a self-proclaimed handsome smile. Zhou Yuzhu originally thought it was Lin Xuan, but found out it was someone he didn't know. With a slight frown on his brow, he ignored the young man and walked away to the side. The young man was stunned when he saw this scene. Are you just being ignored like this? So the young man opened the door and chased after him. Beauty, don't leave in such a hurry. I'm not a man-eating tiger. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuzhu's impression of youth in his heart was even worse. Can someone like you still be called a cannibal tiger? So, she turned around and glared at the young man, saying without hesitation. Sorry, I have already made an appointment, please don't follow me anymore. The young man stood in front of Zhou Yuzhu without any hesitation and smiled, saying. So coincidental. Actually, I also have an appointment, but if I remember correctly, the person I have an appointment with is you. As an experienced lover, having thick skin is necessary. Otherwise, I would have been kicked away with just one sentence, what other girl would I be teasing? Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuzhu couldn't help but glance at the young man. Did this person travel here 10 years ago? Is this cliché D approach still being used? Sorry, I really have something to do. Please make way. Upon hearing this, the young man did not continue to stop Zhou Yuzhu, but followed behind. The intimate distance between the two really made those who didn't know think it was a couple. Seeing this, just as Zhou Yuzhu was about to shake off the young man, the roar of a sports car came from afar. Immediately after, an Aston Martin D1311 stopped in front of Zhou Yuzhu. Chapter 9. The joy of rich people. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. In fact, Zhou Yuzhu had already seen this sports car when he first came out. But she is not sure if this is Lin Xuan's car. At this moment, seeing the car coming over, her heart couldn't help but jump wildly. Can this be Lin Xuan? The young man beside him suddenly widened his eyes and looked at the sports car in front of him. Although he can't afford this car, he knows it. The Aston Martin D1311 is priced at around 3 million yuan, with a landing price of over 3.5 million yuan. In front of him, his own car is just a fraction, not even a fraction. The other people on the street were also attracted by the roar of sports cars. Almost everyone on site turned their attention to this place. At the next moment, Lin Xuan pushed open the car door and smiled at Zhou Yuzhu, who was stunned in place. Sorry for coming late and keeping you waiting. Seeing Lin Xuanru's smile in the spring breeze, Zhou Yuzhu was completely stunned. Lin Xuan now is completely different from Lin Xuan who came to the mall for shopping in the afternoon. Even somewhat similar to a domineering CEO. No, it's okay, I just came too. At this moment, Zhou Yuzhu's heart was as restless as a deer, and he even became a bit nervous when speaking. Let's get on the car first. After speaking, Lin Xuan glanced at the young man standing next to Zhou Yuzhu and asked, pretending to be puzzled. Yuzhu, is this person your friend? In fact, Lin Xuan had already seen this young man and the Mercedes E300L he was driving. If it weren't for his youth, he would have gotten off the car and walked over. When the young man saw this, blushed and said quickly. Sorry, I just came over to ask for directions. Sorry to bother you. This is also too embarrassing. Their boyfriend is driving $1 million sports car, and they even came to flirt with their girlfriend with their own car worth over 500,000 yuan. It's really embarrassing to throw a big knife in front of Guangdong's house. After speaking, the young man didn't look back and got into a Mercedes-Benz before leaving. Unexpectedly, due to being too anxious, I collided directly with the tricycle of the vegetable seller beside me, and was immediately scolded by her. At this moment, the youth only expressed that the baby's heart is bitter. On the car, Zhou Yuzhu looked at the interior, feeling excited. Zhou Yuzhu and Lin Xuan were originally from the countryside, not to mention sitting down, they haven't even heard of it. Lin Xuan, how much did you spend on buying this car? How much? Lin Xuan held the steering wheel in both hands and said. It's not much, it's less than 300. 300, 300. Zhou Yuzhu, who was still leaning against his seat to see the scenery outside the car, suddenly froze and exclaimed in surprise. 3 million. Yeah, you wouldn't think it was 300 yuan, would you? For a moment, Lin Xuan couldn't help but laugh. This girl really dared to think that such a luxurious sports car could be bought for 300 yuan, even if it was already a car in hand. Wow, Lin Xuan, have you made a fortune? After some thought, Zhou Yuzhu couldn't help but ask. What kind of wealth do I make? I just make the right choices at the right time. Lin Xuan said very plainly. That's right, he really said that correctly. Just doing some random multiple-choice questions. However, this sentence fell into Zhou Yuzhu's ear and became a different meaning. At the right time, make the right choices. Isn't that just investment? Wow, I haven't seen Lin Xuan so powerful in just a few years. Immediately, Zhou Yuzhu's eyes sparkled like small stars, looking at Lin Xuan. By the way, let's go to Heshui Tower for dinner tonight. You made me a lot of money this afternoon, and I want to thank you no matter what. After speaking, Zhou Yuzhu looked at Lin Xuan with some anticipation. Actually, this restaurant was carefully selected by Zhou Yuzhu. Because Lin Xuan can buy so much at once, he must often go to big restaurants. If he takes him to a small restaurant, it's really embarrassing. And even high-end hotels cannot afford it themselves. Although I achieved around 100,000 yuan today, I will not release it until next month. Currently, I only have a few thousand yuan in my hands. If you really can't pay the bill in the end, you can only rely on borrowing to get by. Okay, let's go to Heshui Tower. Although not as good as other high-end hotels, Heshui Tower is also a 5-star restaurant located on Heshui Mountain in Zhonghai City, hence its name Heshui Tower. Although located on Heshui Mountain, it is still surrounded by various commercial areas, so the business of Heshui Tower has always been thriving. Just as the car was parked at the entrance of Heshui Tower, a doorman took the initiative to walk up. Lin Xuan casually threw the key over and walked into the Heshui Tower with Zhou Yuzhu. After arriving at the private room, Zhou Yuzhu voluntarily handed over the menu. Lin, I'll leave tonight's dishes to you to order. No matter what you order, I'll pay for it. Seeing Zhou Yuzhu's confident expression, Lin Xuan couldn't help but smile. Okay, since our boss Zhou has spoken, I won't be polite. After Lin Xuan finished speaking, he secretly glanced at Zhou Yuzhu, although she appeared very indifferent on the surface. But the painful expression in her eyes had already betrayed her. Lin Xuan had long guessed that Zhou Yuzhu definitely didn't have much money on him now. After all, he only spent in the afternoon, and even if there was a commission, it couldn't be received so quickly. At least it will be credited along with next month's salary. Although Lin Xuan knew she might not have much money on her, he still liked her anxious appearance. Perhaps this is where the fun of wealthy people lies. 1 shot of cucumber, diced chicken with sesame seeds, 1 shot of tofu soup, crystal pumpkin, mapo tofu and 1 shot of shredded sesame meat. Lin Xuan looked at the menu and casually ordered a few dishes. These dishes were all his and Zhou Yuzhu's favorite dishes before, and the unit price was not very expensive. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuzhu's heart also calmed down. As long as there were no words like lobster, abalone, sea cucumber, etc., it wouldn't be particularly expensive. At most 3,000 to 4,000 won meals, I'll pack it myself. Suddenly, she felt that she was good again and could wave. Okay, may I ask what you need to drink? The waiter beside asked as usual. That's all for the drink. Speaking, Lin Xuan pointed to a bottle of red wine in the picture and said. Seeing this, the waiter was somewhat surprised and immediately confirmed. Are you sure? Yes, that's all. Come on, go ahead. After a moment, a bottle of red wine and a few dishes were served. Looking at these dishes with all their colors, flavors, both Zhou Yuzhu and Lin Xuan couldn't help but stir their fingers. Above the table, Zhou Yuzhu and Lin Xuan chatted with each other, as if they had returned to their youthful campus years. At the same time, the bottle of red wine on the table began to decrease. However, these drinks were all consumed by Zhou Yuzhu, and Lin Xuan came by car. He still knows the reason why he doesn't drive after drinking. After a storm of wind and clouds, Zhou Yuzhu took the initiative to stand up and say. Brother Lin, I'll go check out first. Lin Xuan just smiled slightly and followed behind her. Hello lady, the total is 110,873.23. I'll give you a change, and you can give 110800. Chapter 10. Am I a public rental company? You are listening at novelfull.audio. 110800. Upon hearing this number, Zhou Yuzhu's eyes suddenly widened and he looked at the waiter with disbelief on his face. What is the situation? Although the consumption of Heshui Tower is not low, the per capita consumption is only around 1,000. How could there be a 6-figure consumption? Thinking of this, Zhou Yuzhu, who was originally full of confidence, suddenly felt a bit deflated and asked nervously in a low voice. Can I have a look at the bill? Of course you can. After receiving the bill, Zhou Yuzhu was stunned. The dishes were all normal, but the only abnormality was the bottle of red wine. 108888. Seeing this, Zhou Yuzhu was completely dumbfounded. At this moment, she remembered why this red wine was so delicious, having spent more than 100,000 yuan on this bottle of red wine for half a day. If this doesn't taste good, it would be strange. Thinking of this, Zhou Yuzhu felt some flesh pain. It's really painful, my commission is only so much, I didn't expect to be eaten by a meal. The key is that I don't have that much money now. It seems that we can only go and borrow money. Thinking of this, she said to the waiter with some embarrassment. Sorry, I'll go to the restroom first and make the payment when I come back. After speaking, without waiting for the waiter to react, he rushed to the restroom. I immediately went to several lending platforms, borrowed 100,000 yuan from them, and then walked out. Alas, life is not easy. The thought of eating dirt again next month made Zhou Yuzhu feel a pang of heartache. But when she arrived at the cashier to prepare for checkout, the waiter smiled and said, "Hello, your bill has already been paid by someone." Paid. Upon hearing this, Zhou Yuzhu thought of Lin Xuan. Although he was overjoyed, he still felt a bit embarrassed. Suddenly, she thought of something very important and quickly ran back to the private room. At the same time, Lin Xuan was watching the reward given by the system at the door. In fact, when Lin Xuan first entered the Heshui Tower, the system had already issued a selection. The options are very simple, there are only two options, one is to pay and the other is not to pay. The reward for paying the bill is one building. So, Lin Xuan deliberately ordered that bottle of red wine. Even without this task, Lin Xuan was prepared to order red wine to tease Zhou Yuzhu. There's no way, the lives of wealthy people are just so boring. The system rewards Jingmen Building this time. For Jingmen Building, Lin Xuan should not be too familiar with it. The reason is none other than that he works for a small company in Jingmen Building himself. Jingmen Building is a building located in the center of Zhonghai City, with over 30 floors and a rental rate of up to 80%. Its property value is even more incalculable. To put it plainly, Lin Xuan is now a real rental public servant. At this moment, Zhou Yuzhu also walked out from inside and saw Lin Xuan speak coquettishly. "Lin Gu, didn't you agree that I would treat you to this meal? We are all old acquaintances, isn't it the same to invite anyone? What is this?" Lin Xuan smiled and suddenly saw the red wine bottle held in Zhou Yuzhu's arms, smiling and saying, "You didn't pack the red wine just now and take it away, did you? Lin, you're getting rich now. I'm very poor. I only drank half of this red wine, which is a whopping 50,000 yuan. It's too bad not to pack it and take it away." Speaking, Zhou Yuzhu hugged the red wine in his arms a little tighter, afraid that it might be lost. And at the dining table before, she thought it was just ordinary red wine, so she frequented chatting with Lin Xuan. "Now that I know the price of this bottle of red wine is over 100,000 yuan, I definitely want to go back and taste it well." After taking Zhou Yuzhu home, Lin Xuan did not return to the rental room, but went directly to the most luxurious hotel in Zhonghai City. The JW Marriott Hotel. In the past, it was okay to buy a rental house just for the sake of extra money. Now that I have money and am still a secure tenant, living in a rental house is purely a matter of my own mind. "Hello, it's my pleasure to serve you. May I help you?" The receptionist smiled and looked at Lin Xuan, saying, "Help me open a room." "Okay, may I ask what room you need?" "We have standard rooms, business rooms." Before the receptionist could finish speaking, Lin Xuan waved his hand and said, "What is the best room in your area?" "The best room? It's the presidential suite." The receptionist instinctively replied. "Okay, then let's just get a presidential package, can we offer a monthly package?" Presidential suite. Package. Monthly package. The receptionist opened her mouth and looked at Lin Xuan with disbelief upon hearing his words. Normally, there are people who come to book presidential suites, but those people are all handled by their secretaries, and at most, it's only a week. Where does anyone come directly and stay for a month? You think this is a rental house outside? Although Lin Xuan's attire is good, the monthly presidential suite costs over 1,000,000 yuan. Although the receptionist couldn't figure it out, she still said respectfully according to the process. Hello sir, the unit price of our presidential suite for one night is 58,000 yuan. If you open it all at once for a month, it will cost 1.74 million yuan. We can erase the small amount for you, so the price is 1.7 million yuan. Are you sure you want to open it? Then let's open it for a month first. After speaking, Lin Xuan took out an ordinary savings card and handed it over, along with his ID card. Open first. Is it difficult for him to continue in a month? Perhaps this is the pleasure of wealthy people. When the hotel manager heard that someone had booked the presidential suite at once, he quickly ran downstairs. You are Mr. Lin, right? I am the manager of the hotel, Luo Wentao. This is Manager Chiu. If you have any requirements for the next month, you can tell him directly. Seeing Luo Wentao's sycophantic smile, the front desk ladies beside her were all dumbfounded. You should know that Luo Wentao usually has a bad face towards his employees, even customers are just normal smiles. But now when I see Lin Xuan, I feel like I've never seen him in a long time, like a sworn brother. No one believes that smile that says it's fake. Even in the end, Luo Wentao gave Lin Xuan 2 bottles of Romani Conti, one costing over 100,000 yuan. Looking at Luo Wentao's hopeful gaze, Lin Xuan could only reluctantly take the red wine and walk into the elevator under the guidance of butler Chiu. Hello Mr. Lin, if you have anything to do in the next month, you can directly instruct me. Housekeeper Chiu is a beautiful woman in her 30s. Okay, I'll trouble you then. Lin Xuan nodded and smiled, saying. At this time, although Lin Xuan could be called a nouveau riche, he did not underestimate others just because of his wealth. As a truly wealthy person, one should have the best temperament or upbringing, otherwise they will be seen by others. You are just a local tycoon, and you can never be equated with the upper class. After arriving at the room, Lin Xuan was completely shocked by the decoration and size here. The presidential suite covers at least 300 square meters, while the bedroom alone covers over 80 square meters. It is surrounded by 3 large floor-to-ceiling windows and a 20-meter-long outdoor corridor, making it a place for immortals to live. Standing here, it can be said that the scenery of Zhonghai City can be fully enjoyed. As for other hardware, they have all reached the top configuration. Vispring mattresses, Hermes complete tableware, and fully automated hardware configurations. He had only seen it online before, but now living in it himself can truly experience what a presidential suite is. Even the toilet in the toilet is a Villeroy 13-ox smart toilet worth over 50,000 yuan. Mr. Lin, I have added you to our overall service group, which includes drivers, chefs, and other service personnel. As long as you send a message, someone will come to serve you. In addition, this group will automatically dissolve after you check out and will not disturb your daily life. Steward Chiu took the initiative to say. Okay, I got it. After giving a brief introduction to the functional configurations in the room, butler Chiu left. Lying on the big bed, Lin Xuan suddenly felt his stomach was a bit hungry. He picked up the nearby menu and glanced at it. After posting the name of the night snack in the group, someone quickly responded and delivered it to the room in a very short time. Looking at the exquisite night snack, Lin Xuan was about to use his chopsticks when he heard his phone suddenly ring.